Greetings and very welcome back to my humble neck of the YouTube woods. Today we are going to try and swiftly get stuck in to a 10 video game question challenge that is just sweeping across the little YouTube gaming community that I'm fairly active in. And I believe it was started by Tony Fighter 2, who I'm not overly familiar with, but fair play to him. And eventually what happened is I got tagged by Retro Crisis, who made a nice video involving the 10 questions. So we're going to try and swiftly, off the top of my head, answer these questions. And I've done it the lazy man's way. You'll see me glancing downwards. I have screenshotted Richard RetroTap's description because the 10 questions are in there. So let's go. Question number 1. What sort of games do you like to play? I think I've played every genre that I can possibly think of. But the old school Resident Evil titles, the tank controlled, fixed camera angles, puzzle solving elements, I think that would be probably my favourite genre of game. I like a bit of everything, but yeah, the old school Resident Evils would probably be my pick of the bunch. Question number 2. How much time do you spend playing games? This varies vastly depending on what's happening in real life, and I think a lot of us are like that. So depending on what's going on in Dublin and beyond, yeah. If I do have free time, I do really try and squeeze in some game time when possible, because it's always calming and relaxing and cathartic for me personally. So yeah, if a game has a strong narrative, don't get me wrong, I could just be sucked in, and if I have the time, I will just play through that game. Other times I can only do 20 minutes, half an hour, wherever the case may be. So, do you think games can be educational? Absolutely, yes. The interactive medium that we know and love just has a plethora of aspects that can be very educational and can teach us so much about life, love and happiness. Not even just focusing on the academic pandemic side of things, where you might learn a little bit about history or mythology or, some practical things. Games can be so, you can learn a lot about morality, coherent ethics from video games, philosophical questions. So absolutely, from my perspective, video games can be very educational in a plethora of ways. Question number 4 is, what don't I like about video games? I'm usually quite a positive perspective type of person. So if I don't particularly like something about a certain genre or series, I just kind of leave it. I don't tend to bash it or criticize anybody, because it's such a subjective medium, I can always see why various titles appeal to people. It's just different preferences and priorities. But I think, and this isn't really limited to gaming, it's more of an all-round issue, but the price. There's an awful lot of greedy companies out there, shall we say, and entities that just want profits above all ends, just endless profits, never enough profits, and they'll just kind of try and bleed and soak and make the most of any type of capital that they can, and that's always really cringy and distasteful from my perspective. Not entirely, it's not just video games, of course, that's just a general pet peeve. The passing of greed is taking a very long time, guys, but hopefully we'll evolve beyond it sooner rather than later. So that's question 4. Question 5, how much do you spend on games? Not that much. I used to spend a lot more when I was younger, but nowadays, certainly over the past 7 or 8 years, I've basically just relied on the lowest tier of PlayStation Plus, and they will give me 2 to 3 games per month, random games that I'll download into my library, and when I get a chance, I'll give them a go. There's exceptions. Sometimes I will buy a new Resident Evil game if that comes out. I still want to get the hard copy of Resident Evil games, so I'll pay €60 or wherever that may be And the lowest tier of PlayStation Plus, I believe, is €60 per year. It used to be 50, but I think it's gone up. And maybe 70, but yeah, I'm guaranteed to spend that annually. And sometimes, like recently, I've been involved in some retro video game challenges for the Sean and Raza Cup, for example. So I will go onto the PlayStation Store and download a game between €5 to €10. They're usually not that expensive, to be fair. So there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, it's just the €60 yearly fee for the PlayStation Plus. Question 6. What is your favorite games console? I'm not going to go nostalgic with this, and I'm going to actually say the PlayStation 4. And the thought process behind that is I like my trophy challenges, and I know the PlayStation 3 had trophies, but the PlayStation 4 has Share Factory, which for someone like me who isn't very savvy at creating videos and editing videos and so on, it's very easy to access, just to capture footage, chop it up, and upload it, and it's decent quality. So yeah, and also during this era is when I stumbled across this gaming community on YouTube. So plenty of fun memories over the last 2 to 3 years or so of being very active with video games, and 90% of the games that I've been playing has been on the PlayStation 4. I'm not even tempted to get PlayStation 5. That's how happy I am with the PlayStation 4. And I've had it for forever. It's been my main console for a very long time. So I think it's, you know, from a meritocracy point of view, PlayStation 4 is my pick. Question 7. What is your favorite video game? So many titles going through my cognitive juices at the moment. But, and this is probably be Resident Evil centric again, but I'm going to go with Code Veronica X. And that is a nostalgic choice predominantly. But I can go back and play it and enjoy it, don't get me wrong. I just really enjoy that title. I enjoy the reunion of Chris and Claire. I enjoy the return, the shocking return of Albert Wesker, the Ashford family and their perverted goals, Alexia Ashford and Alfred and Alexander and so on. So yeah, Resident Evil Code Veronica X I'll go for. And favorite video game movie? Okay, I'm not much of a cinephile. I have seen the classics, of course. We all know the original Mortal Kombat with the theme song. It's quite iconic nowadays. Street Fighter. These are kind of vegan cheesy. They're so bad, they're good type films. I did see the new Mario, and that looked absolutely stunning. And overall had a bit of a wholesome message to it. I've seen the first Sonic movie, the new Sonic movie. But I'm actually going to go with Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil film, because I have fond memories of going and seeing that in the cinema, and it wasn't particularly special. And the more movies that they released, the more bonkers that they got, the more action crazy they got, and so on, the more off the rails. But the first film was quite grounded. It just had an outbreak, and there was zombies in the lab, and they had to navigate past them, and they were dealing with the Red Queen AI, and there was the Cerberus section, and then in the end the only big BOW was a liquor. But fond memories, and overall I thought that was a decent enough flick, so we'll go with that. Favorite video game character? Ooh, so many going through my head. Rikimaru and Solid Snake and Big Boss and Corvo from Dishonored, and so many good characters. Even the iconic pixelated characters come to mind. But I'm actually going to go with Claire Redfield from Resident Evil. And it's interesting because traditionally speaking, Jill Valentine was always my favourite protagonist over the years, closely followed by Chris. But Claire has slowly but surely grown on me over time. And what I like about Claire is that she's a little bit different than the other protagonists, that she didn't take a military approach, a violent approach to taking down Umbrella and setting things right. She went more for a humanitarian angle, where she was trying to help people through charities, and it didn't work out. It was ill-fated, of course. Those damn pharmaceutical, greedy, control-hungry giants. Uh, but I do like that about her, and of course, she's when push comes to shove and her back is against the wall, she's a very capable person and can defend herself and those she loves and the innocent and so on. So, yeah, Claire Redfield at this moment in time. And question number 10, we're there. Just 10 minutes in, longer than expected to be fair. Oof. Least favourite type of game. I couldn't really answer this, to be honest with you. There's definitely genres that I've drifted away from and genres that I never really gravitated towards. Off the top of my head, JRPGs. I've only played a handful of them. I'm much more familiar with Western RPGs, you know, Dragon Age, Dragon's Dogma, Mass Effect, Skyrim and the like. Racing games I very rarely play, especially particularly if they're realistic racing games. If I do play racing games, usually they're more kart heavy, like Mario Kart or Crash Team Racing and the like. Wrestling games, sports games, you know, I very rarely play them anymore. I still do. I still dip in from time to time, but what happens is I get bored quite quickly and move away. Tetris style games, I suppose, you know, those kind of columns, Tetris. There was a few Facebook games that were popular for a while, wasn't there? Kind of Candy Crush and Bejeweled and titles like that. I will play them, but I'll be satiated quite quickly and want to move on. So I couldn't really pick one of it, but they're just off the top of my head genres that I'm not particularly fond of and don't resonate towards. Nomination wise, I'm supposed to nominate 2 people, I believe, but I'm not going to do that because I'm late to the party, and honestly, this thing has been so aggressive that it's just swept across the community. And I'll just leave an open invitation to anybody who stumbles across this video and wants to take part. Absolutely do. I will copy and paste the 10 questions from Richard's description and put it in my own if anybody wants access to them. Well, yeah, I think that's mission accomplished, guys. I shall love yous and leave yous. Stay safe, be good, look after yourselves and each other. Be kind to all kinds and have a wonderful weekend. Slán a bhaile.